So this is going to be my premiere video. I've not done one before, and I have wanted to do one for a long time. I just recently got sort of pushed, giving that little bit of a nudge to do it when someone asked me to demonstrate this card that I posted on Instagram. And the card I'm going to show you how to do today is like a step card with an open center. And I used it and the kit from the Hero Arts kit from August to create this card. So I wanted to just show you how really easy it can be to make it. All right, we're going to start with just a standard 8.5 by 5.5 card. This is Nina White Solar cardstock, heavyweight, to make your base. And what you'll do with this is you will do a series of scoring and cut and score lines to do this. And it's really, I use my Fiskars tool, cutting tool, because it has the measurements on it that are rather easy, to read. What I've done to even make that better is I put like a little black, use my pen, a black pen, just to put a little black mark there so that it's easier for me to see where those cut lines line up. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to take your card and you're going to line it up at the 1-inch line here, and you're going to take the cutting blade and put it at 1 inch here, and then you're going to cut that edge by starting at the 1 and going to 6.5 on this edge. So you want to go all the way down to 6.5. Then you're going to do the same thing on the other edge. So you just want to flip it over, and again you're going to line it up with the 1 inch, and you can start here at this end, which now would be at the 6.5 inch mark, and cut that up to the 1 inch and stop. So then you end up with 2 cut lines like so on either edge of the card. And I'm going to just switch this out and put in my scoring blade with a black scoring blade. I found that works best for getting these measurements, measured score lines between on this card. So the very first score line is going to be at the 1 inch. So you're going to again want to line this up with the 1 inch for your blade, for your fold cut or folding line. And you're going to want to start at 1 inch where the cut line begins and take it to 4.5 on this edge. So then that's going to place a fold line between the two. Then our next fold, I'm going to just flip it this way because our next fold is at 2 inches. So you want to line that card up at with 2 inches and start your scoring blade at 1 inch, and again go to 4.5. Then our next one is at 3.25. So you're going to want to take this again and go from 1 inch to 4.5. And the next cut line will be at 4.25. But this is the fold line for the card. So instead of going between the 2 cut lines, you're going to go out from the cut lines. So you want to start here at the 1 inch and go out, and then back here at the 1 inch and go out. Our next cut line will be at 4.5, or not cut line, I'm sorry, our folding line will be at 4.5. So you want to score it from the 1 inch here again to 4.5, and the very last one is going to be the final cut, and it goes between these last 2 lines. This is at 6.5. It's probably easier to turn it this way so that you're measuring it from the 2 inch on this side. So here you're going to line it up again with your 1 inch line and bring it over to the 4.5. So that's your final score line, and you'll end up with this. Okay, then what we're gonna want to do, I usually start by just putting a gentle crease here. You don't have to crease it really strongly because you're gonna do that later. It just makes it easier to line up. And then what I do here is I make a mountain fold on this side and a mountain fold on this edge, on the bottom here. Then from here, it's just a accordion style fold. So it's a valley, mountain, valley, and your mountain there. And then what you're going to want to do at this point is just to sort of take your bone folder tool just to go ahead and enhance your fold lines. This is the reason why we didn't do that really strong before, because they you have to do it, adjusts a little bit in the folding. Can't totally be so precise. Okay, and now I'm just going to take it on the inside and reinforce those. So then what you end up with is this, which is your step card. Now to complete the card, what I do, or what I did for this video, and you totally don't have to do this, is I actually put a little bit of coloring in the background here. And what I like to do is create like a little border. I use a border around the edge. I use some micropore tape, or you could use any low tack tape would work. Use some of the micropore tape and just create, it doesn't have to be precise, but just to create a 1/4 inch border around the edge here. And then on this back side, I'll just take a piece of I'm just going to put a piece of scrap paper on that edge just to protect the top of my card. From getting, inking on the back of the card. Again, doesn't have to be precise, but about 1/4 inch on that side too. Then what I did for my background is I just lightly applied some Distress Oxide inks. I used tumbled glass and weathered wood on my sample, so I'm going to just use that again today. I'm using just some makeup brushes that I got on Amazon. They're not the picket fence ones, but they're close, I think, and that's what I've been using, and I've been liking those, so that's what I'm using. So I put just a combination of these two. It doesn't have to be like really blended well or anything of that nature, because really what we're doing is just creating a little more interest on the front of the card and on the steps, so that it's not just the blank white. So it doesn't have to be really major. I think that's good enough. I'm not gonna, like I said, I'm not gonna do a whole lot of putting a lot of effort into that. And then just a little touch of the weathered wood on mine. I think I just need a little more blue, so I'm going to put a little more in there just to get more in there. But it just creates a little bit of interest on the card. It doesn't, like I said, it doesn't have to be very precise, or very well blended. Just kind of interesting background. Then to remove your micropore tape, you want to make sure that you're just pulling it back on itself so that you don't rip the card. It's pretty easy to do this, but if you don't do it, sometimes it'll catch. Even this micropore or low tack tape will catch your edge and do a tear. So I do try to just pull it gently off in a direction back against itself. Okay, so then what we're going to end up with is this. We can go back to, the folding. this back panel doesn't have any coloring, but it really, you know, that's where you're going to actually put your castle. So it doesn't really have to have a lot of color on that edge. Just going to clean this up a little bit so that we don't get ink on our finished card. Okay, so then what I did before making the video is I just took some of the images from the kit and created some characters that we're going to put inside the card. So what I have here is I cut this piece measures it's just a blank piece of Neenah also that I cut at, that's 3 1/4 by 4 1/4, and this is going to be, you know, our backdrop. So I cut a piece of cardstock like that, cut out the, you know, with the edge of it with the castle, so it's like a freestanding like castle. And this is going to go onto the back portion of our card right here. It's going to go all the way there on the back. So I am going to use some some score tape on the back of this because I like it to stay nice and, you know, very well adhered. I'm pretty much addicted to this score tape stuff, so I buy a lot of it and use a lot of it. So this is going to go right on our back panel. We're just going to just adhere this right to the back, center it back there so that it's there. So that's our backdrop for the card. Then we can just add the other characters that I created. I'm going to just use one of the dragons that I colored. We'll put the dragon here. I just love this dragon. And on this one we'll put a wizard. I like the wizard. It's so really a nice, I think that wizard is a nice touch. We can put him like here on the second level right in there, and we can add our greeting to the front there. So then all we need to do is just put a little bit of, I'm going to use my multimedia adhesive to just apply a little bit of adhesive to the back of these and adhere them where we want them. This one is going to go right here to this edge on this side, sort of overhanging your open space, which gives you that extra dimension, and you can see it's not going to interfere when you mail them. It's going to be right there. For coloring these, I used a combination of watercolors that I have, you know, in my stash, plus some of those glimmering, the pots of glimmer paint that came in this month's kit, which the gold is especially sparkly, and you know I've used them all. I like them all. And for my sentiment, I just stamped the Have a Magical Day with VersaFine black ink and heat embossed it. Cut it out with a die that I have that I can list below, and we're gonna just put. We can, you know, I'm thinking that it might look better here or back here on the card. Maybe I'm going to put it to the back. We'll put it right there, and still when it's closed you'll see Have a Magical Day. So we're going to put that back here, and we can also use the multimedia on this too, just to get a little bit of wiggle room here. Okay, so that really completes the card. So once you got the coloring done and do the folding, it comes together very quick. To mail this kind of a card, what I usually do is I take a piece of the Neenah White cardstock, cut it to the size of an A2 card, and just layer it on the top of the card like so. And you can write your greeting there, and when the person gets the card, because there's not really a lot of room. I suppose you could write on the back of this too if you wanted to do that, but this is the way that I do it. I just put this. It helps with the mailing too. Then it just slips in the envelope. You put your greeting here, and then the person has the recipient will get the nice three-dimensional interactive card. I hope you got some information and that you can use, and you'd be able to create the step card using my instructions. I'm also going to I made a template with all the measurements that I'm going to put down below, so that you actually have like a template with the measurements, so you don't actually have to remember them. It's going to be in the template, in the information below. Okay, so thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope this is not my last video. My first one, hopefully not the last. Thank you very much.